Summer was extremely long. You look forward to the summers that were just extremely long. And nowadays it's like, was there a summer this year? That's just crazy. How life is just, maybe because we're just full of activities and things to do, and everything is always asking and demanding us to do more and to be at this place and to be at that place. But can we just rest for a moment and be here for what God wants to share with us this morning? I thank God for the new name in the youth. The youth has a new name. What is it? The Fallen Walls of Nehemiah? What did you say? Oh, Glorify City Youth. I thought the Fallen Walls of Nehemiah. Huh? Oh, I'm not Glorify. Okay, it's going to take some time for me to get used to that. Unless you do a name like a shirt or something, because it's going to be a while. I'm glad it's not the Fallen Walls, though. But let's go. Let's read the Bible. Let's get over. I just wanted to make you laugh a little bit, because you guys are so tense and so just rigid, and that makes me nervous. So I just wanted you to show me some smile. It's good to be alive, right? It's good to be here. How many of you guys were happy with your gifts? Huh? Anybody not happy with a gift? Sheesh. Okay, one or two of you not happy with a gift? There's always return policies. There's always return policies. Right now, they take just about anything back. Everything, they just take it back. And so you don't like it, don't let it make your day bad. Are you there? Did I say the scripture? Oh, I'm wasting time thinking I gave it to you. Isaiah 58. Isaiah 58. I'm going to share on the idea, the fast that I chose. The fast that I chose. As many of you know, we are getting ready to walk into a season of fasting. And this morning, I want to use this time to kind of settle us in, to understand that Christmas is behind us, Thanksgiving is behind us, all these great opportunities for eating and doing things have just passed. And so I want us to look forward to beginning the new year as we always begin it. And that is with some type of and some level of fasting. And I'll give you some ideas as to why I think we need to take an opportunity that right now as a corporate, we're fasting. And so, if you have those scriptures open to Isaiah 58, verse 3, would you stand with me and just let's read the word in those, 4 verses? I'm going to read up to 7. Isaiah gives us a description as to how God saw what they were doing as they were fasting. He says, beginning on verse 3, why have we fasted and you see it not? They're saying, why have we fasted and you don't see it, God? Why have we humbled ourselves and you take no knowledge of it? Behold, in the days of your fast, you should seek your own pleasures and oppress all the workers. Behold, you fast only to quarrel and to fight and to hit with wicked fists. Fasting like yours these days will not make your voice to be heard on high. Is such the fast that I chose? A day for a person to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a reed and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? Is it not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. Is this not to share your bread with the hungry, and to bring the homeless poor into your house, when you see the naked, to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh. God bless his word. Go ahead and get comfortable. Take your seats. I call this the fast that I've chosen. The fast that I've chosen. I truly am convinced that this church is continuing to move forward after 14 years as a result. If I can look back and say what has kept us going for 14 years, it is nothing but the outcome of fasting. Remember when we first opened this church? That first time that we opened, that first year, we started to fast. Our first days of the year, we started out the year asking the Lord with our sacrificial, with our fasting. Now, if you've never ever heard, or maybe the word fasting is new to you, I know for most of us it's not, but there may be some of you that are not acquainted with fasting. And you may be saying, what is fasting? In a few words, fasting is to give up food for a certain amount of time that you agree with the Lord. Okay? It's just giving up food. So I know that sometimes we have given up television, or we'll give up social media, or some of you may give up your phone. That's not necessarily considered fasting. That may be a sacrificial act out of you to give up those kinds of things. But really, fasting is connected with food. So to fast is just to give up some level of some sorts of food. So what is a fast? What is fasting? Fasting is one of the many weapons that God has given us as his sons and daughters to fight our spiritual warfare. Fasting is something that we are to do similar to reading the word, our praise and worship, our prayer, and fasting is one of those things that we need to be doing so that we can stay the course that God has for us. Fasting is one of those armor, is one of those things that the Lord will look upon us. And as a matter of fact, fasting is something that is not to be used in a way that it will be abused, because it's not necessarily something that, many people nowadays, they diet. And I hear people all the time, they say, man, I haven't eaten. It's already 3 o'clock, I haven't eaten. He says, I'll just consider it a fast. No, it's not like that. It's not way. See, it's a strong man that keeps producing things in our lives that will frustrate us, that will make us angry about ourselves. God says you got to identify what is the strong man. What is that one thing? Because we all have it. What is that one thing that you try and it just doesn't seem to work? And so, another thing, and why we do this fasting, is looking at January 1st and look at a perspective throughout the year. You're basically taking your whole year into account. And you're basically saying, Lord, I want to start thinking about you from day one of this year. I want to start thinking this year through. And that's why we fast. Because God knows many of us are not organized. Many of us do not know what the word organized means. We're just living day by day. Whatever has to be done today, I'm going to do it. But fasting at the beginning allows you to look ahead and say, Lord, I don't want to make the walk of this year without you being in it. And so we take a look at God throughout the year. I really believe that when we fast, some of the results of your fast, You are going to see them throughout the year, in the summer, in the winter of next year. Towards the end of that year. That's when you're going to see it. But it's all a result of you starting that year and saying, Lord, this is your year. It's all as a result of that. And so this is why we do the January fast. And we've done it because we've said, Lord, if you are going to give the Lighthouse another year of life, we don't want to go at it without you. And that's what you're saying when you're fasting. You're saying, Lord, if you would permit me to be alive for 2019, Lord, if you would permit me to be, if you would give us our family for this year, Lord, if you give me this opportunity, if you give me a ministry, Lord, if you allow me to go to school, whatever it may be, I want you to be right there with me. That's what you're saying. I want you right here with me. That's what we're saying with fasting. So we're saying, Lord, before I save up money for that debt that will come in May, before we save up money for that vacation in the summer, Lord, I need you to be right next to me. I need you to go with me. I need you to give me your wisdom. I need you to give me your direction. I need you to lead me as I go forward. God knows we all could use that. We all could start our year thinking, Lord, let me not go through 2019 without the Lord. This fast is to put 2019 in the hands of God. Can you agree to that? Can you say, Lord, if you give me like Moses, because Moses had a guarantee. He says, I will send an angel to defeat your enemies. You will experience my hand, but I won't go with you. The reason why I will go with you because you're a stubborn person. You're a stubborn group. And I'm afraid that one of these days you're gonna get me at the wrong side, and I'm just gonna nuke you. I'm gonna take you out. So he says, I choose not to go with you. I'm gonna send an angel. And the angel will represent, Moses says, I will not go if your presence doesn't go with me. Is that what we're saying? I think that's something that we need to be saying as we face the last days of January. So you need to start praying, because I'm not asking you, even though this is a corporate fast, and there will be some things that I will give you as a family to do. This is something that I want you to seek individually for God, because I want you to do the fast that will count. I just don't want you to be in it for the wrong reason. I've seen many things in the last 14 years. I've seen people fight about fast, about whose fast is more sacrificial, about people feeling ashamed because they gave up. I think I could say I've seen it all, but I've always get surprised about something. But these verses start to tell us, the first verses, there is a fast that God did not choose. Verse 3 starts out with them saying, you know what, and many of you may be thinking this, you know what, I fasted and it didn't work. I fasted, they said, we have fasted and you didn't see it. That's what they were saying. He says, you didn't see my fast. He said, why have we humbled ourselves and you didn't take any knowledge that we humbled ourselves? That's what they're saying. And so here's Pastor again talking about fasting again. God, you didn't take knowledge of my sacrificial humbling last year. That's what they were saying. But then he gave him some ideas as to why God departed himself from their fast. Why did it not count? See, when you fast, you have to know how to fast. This fast is a little different, and we see it in the Bible a lot where they do corporate fasting. You will read it in the Old Testament where the king or the leader would call for a fast. And he would call for a fast, and the whole city would fast. I mean, some of the cities even put their pets to fast when they call for a corporate fast. They just put Speedy. He wasn't eating. Their animals or the kids were not eating, right? Little Pepe was like, "What's going on, Tony?" That was a corporate fast. So they were all in it together. Now there is a fast that you need to do that we shouldn't even know about. We shouldn't even know. No one should know. That's a different fast. But in this fast, it's a corporate. Let's answer some of the questions, some of the things that God said why he didn't answer them. He says, "Behold, in those days on your fast, you seek your own pleasure and oppress all your workers." So the first reason why I believe God will abandon a fast is fasting with disobedience. Fasting with disobedience. See? Because God has called us to do a fast. When God calls you to do a fast, God is asking you to consecrate yourself. God is asking you, if you have, maybe you're fasting about this spirit of disobedience that you had towards authority, towards your parents, towards leadership, towards everything. Maybe that's your fast. So God is saying, okay, but during the fast, I want you to make every effort to stay obedient. During the fast, stay obedient. During the fast, make sure you're not seeking your own pleasure. Because I'll tell you, I don't think that there's anybody that has fasted in their whole life for their own pleasure. We don't fast for pleasure, right? We eat for pleasure, but we don't stop eating for pleasure. He says, but you're fasting out of your pleasure. I think what God is saying, I don't see any signs of humbleness in you. I don't see any signs of you really understanding what fasting is. Fasting is something that I have called you into. I am calling you into a fast. I am calling you to come. And many of us will use the same excuse as to why we don't come. God says, I've called you. Come, read your word. I don't have time, Lord. You should have time. You know why? Because you're not eating. Hello. So if you're not eating, that 30-minute lunch break could be mine. See, we have no excuse, but we have been disobedient. We continuously make excuses for our own faults, for why we don't do things. The Pharisees' way of fasting was for an exaltation of themselves. Look at Luke 18, verses 12 through 14. Here we had a Pharisee praying. And he thought he was doing praying and fasting. Verse 12. He says, look at his prayer. He says, I fast twice a week. I give my tithe, all that I get. But the tax collector standing far off would not even lift his eyes up to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. That guy, the Pharisees were in it to look good. He says, I give all my tithing. I fast twice a week. He's bragging about the things that he's doing for the Lord. All the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons about fasting. Fasting, the second thing that I find in those verses, fasting should never be for your own personal interest. It should never be for your own personal interest. See, the one who fasts with a mindset to say that they expect from God to receive favor because they want to do good at their job because of my own personal gain, shouldn't expect to see God in his fast. Verse 4, behold, you fast to quarrel and to fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours these days will not make your voice be heard on high. He says, you fast and you're fighting with one another. You're just going at it with each other. You know what that says, brothers and sisters? Don't fight for 21 days. Don't fight. Husband and wife, make peace. Everyone needs to make peace for 21 days. God says, you fast, you're fasting and you're fighting. Look, you're fighting at home. You're going at it with your kids. You disobey at work. You're not doing anything. And you expect me to hear your fast? See, that's what he's saying. He says you're quarreling, you're fighting, and in their case, somebody was actually using his fist. God forbid if somebody that's hearing this message is lifting hands on someone else. But I wouldn't be surprised. He says, I can, somebody that fasts with this mindset should not expect to have God receive that fast. Don't expect God to receive that fast. Basically, what you have in your hands is you did a diet. You lost some pounds, and you should be happy with that. Because fasting is so much more than that. Fasting is so much more. First of all, God wants you to stay obedient. Do the things that God has asked of us. And God is asking us, don't stop the fighting, the screaming, the arguing, the doing things and disagreeing and